Hello and welcome back to the Book of Matthew series. Today we're on Matthew 22. Um, and Jesus used stories to teach people about these lessons that he always has been doing, you know? And he says God's kingdom is like a king who prepared a wedding feast for his son. He invited some people to the feast. When it was ready, the king sent his servants to tell people to come, but they refused to come to the king's feast. So he's comparing how, like, when people, you know, who want to come, when you invite somebody to come over, he says to servants, all right, here's an invitation, but people refuse to come to the king's feast. That's in the same way people rejecting the gospel when they're given it many, many, many times by the servants of Christ, whether it's a pastor, a friend, a missionary. It's the same. It's the same analogy. He said, King sent more people. He said, I've invited the people already. So tell them my feast is ready. God has already invited you. He's already invited you. And the fact that people tell you about him and you still rejecting it, that's foolish. That's foolishness. That's straight foolishness. And he said, come to the wedding feast. And then the servants told the people to do it, to come. But they refused to come. They refused to listen. They went to other things. One worked in a field, another went to business. And some other people uh, grabbed the people, persecuted them, and killed them. The king was angry. And they killed the servants, and the army burned the cities. And the king said to the servants, the wedding feast is ready. I'm inviting those people, but they were not good enough to come to my feast. He said, go to street corners and invite everyone. See, tell them to come to my feast. So they went and found all of them and brought them to where the wedding feast was right, and the place was filled with guests. When they came to meet the guests, he saw a man who was not dressed in the right clothes for a wedding. The king said, friend, how were you allowed to come in here? You're not wearing the right clothes. But his man said nothing. So the king told the servants, tie this man hands and feet, throw him out of darkness where people are crying, grinding. Throw him out into the darkness where people are crying, grinding their teeth in pain. Yes, many people are invited, but only a few are chosen. Everyone's invited to that feast, but they just don't want to accept it. They don't want to accept it. He means by few are chosen. He means by like it's their choice, but only a few will do it. Only a couple will come because they want to do their own thing. They don't want to give it up. They want to do their own thing, not accept Jesus Christ to their lives. And then the Pharisees left the place, and they try to make plans to catch him saying something wrong. And they sent some people to Jesus, and there were some of the own followers called Herodians. He said, teacher, we know you're honest, man. We know you teach the truth about God's way. You are not afraid of what others think about you. All people are the same to you. So tell us what you think. Is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? But Jesus knew that they were trying to trick him. He said, you hypocrites. Why are you trying to catch me saying something wrong? Show me a coin used for paying taxes. They showed Jesus a silver coin. And he asked, whose picture's on the coin, whose name is written on the coin? The answer is Caesar's picture and Caesar's name. And he said, give Caesar what is belonged to Caesar's, and God what belongs to God. And they were amazed. So they left and went away. They tried to trick him, but he just said like, well, that coin belongs to Caesar, so give it to Caesar, just so that the things that are of God are given to God. Amazing. And then the Sadducees came to Jesus, and then they asked him a question. They said, Teacher, Moses told us that if a married man dies and has no children, his brother must marry the woman. Then they will have children for a dead brother. There were 7 brothers among us. The first brother married but died but had no children. So his brother married the woman. Then the second brother also died. And the same thing happened to the third brother and all the other brothers. The woman was the last to die, but also men who had married her. So when people rise from the dead, whose wife will she be? Jesus answered, you are wrong. You don't know what the scriptures say. And you know anything about God's power. At that time, the people rise from death. There will be no marriage. People will not be married to each other. Everyone will be like angels in heaven. Surely you have read what God said about you, people rising from the death. God said, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. So they were still not dead because he is the God of only living people. People heard this, they were amazed at Jesus' teaching. It was just saying that, like, well, when they rise from dead, who will the woman marry? You know? And he said, at that time, when people rise from the death, basically go to either two places. He said, when people go to the heavenly kingdom, there will be no marriage. There will be zero marriage. They'll be like angels floating around in heaven. They'll be like the angels in heaven. And he said, God said, I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and God of Jacob. Because he's the God of only living people. He's only the God of living people. We're still alive up in the kingdom. And he said, the first one that Jesus had made Sadducees look foolish. Yeah, look so foolish. I stopped trying to argue with them. So they had a meeting. And then one of them, a very expert in the law of Moses, asked him a question. He said, Teacher, which command is most important? He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, all your mind. This is the first and most important command. The second command is first love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and prophets take their meaning from these two commands. So all my favorites too. Love the Lord your God with all your soul, with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength. And he says, the second command is love your neighbor as yourself. These are very, very good commands. So while the Pharisee was to go, Jesus asked him a question. He said, what do you think about the Messiah? Whose son is he? Here's the answer. The Messiah is the son of David. Jesus said, then why did David call him Lord? This is speaking about power of spirit, he said. Lord God said to him, I, Lord, sit by me on my right side, and I'll put your enemies under your control. Psalms 110:1 reference. David called the Messiah. David calls the Messiah Lord, so how can he be David's son? None of the Pharisees can answer Jesus' question. After that day, no one was brave enough to ask him any more questions. So basically, he's just like, well, David calls him Lord. What David calls God Lord. No, I mean, David calls Messiah Lord, so how can he be saying David's son? And then they stop arguing because they know Jesus was right. They could prove him no wrong because Jesus is the Son of God. He has all the knowledge. He is omnipotent. He has everything. He is everything. God bless you all. Have a great day.